Welcome to the Televini Collection in the Colombano Museum in Bologna. Today the collection of musical instruments assembled over more than 50 years by the late Luigi Ferdinando Televini and donated to the town of Bologna contains more than 90 instruments. The main part is dedicated to Italian keyboard instruments of various types, clavichords, harpsichords, and several types of spinets, like the pentagonal spinet of the 16th century Arpicard type, the rectangular spinet of the Neapolitan type, and the bend-side spinet. Unique pieces are, for example, the harpsichord with plectra and hammers made in 1746 by Giovanni Ferrini, a folding harpsichord, an octave harpsichord. Then grand pianos, tangent action pianos, square pianos, glass chord piano, tuning fork piano, and a sewing box piano, as well as 4 organs of the Italian schools. Thanks to delicate restorations, all the instruments from 1540 until the end of the 19th century can still speak to us and are at the disposal of professional musicians and outstanding students. Here in the museum you can listen to master works made by Giovanni Battista Giusti from Lucca, Niccolò Albana from Naples, Giuseppe Maria Goccini from Bologna, and Alessandro Trasontino from Venice, just to name only a few. Because in addition to the harpsichord, you can also enjoy the sound of early Viennese pianos by Matthäus Andreas Stein, Johann Schans, Anton Walter, Johann Fritz, or pianos from Paris, like one from Pleyel or Erard, and also Bechstein from Berlin. At this point, I would like to show you the most recent instrument we managed to find, a harpsichord made in 1547 by Alessandro Trasontino, a very important maker from Venice, who made it, as the name board says, for Ercole II d'Este, 4th Duke of Ferrara. This instrument traveled quite a lot after Ferrara. It has been in Naples at the end of the 17th century. It was mentioned in documents of the Medici family in Florence. A fascinating fact is that on the backside of the name board we find the inscription Bortolus Fecit, which is an indication that Bartolomeo Cristofori, the inventor of the piano, restored it, and he probably added a second 8-foot stop to the instrument. Afterwards, the instrument shows up in France, where it has been bought by an American. In the 1970s, it returned to Italy, in Sorrento, south of Naples, from where we were able to get it for our museum. The harpsichord has one keyboard with 49 keys, with the first short octave with 2 split keys, which means the first 2 black keys are divided in D and F sharp and E and G sharp. For the moment, we don't know the name of the painter who made the decorations of the inside of the lid, which has been painted probably at the time of the construction of 1550. The outside of the case has been repainted probably at the end of the 18th century. We hope to bring the instrument to new life after a delicate restoration in order to perform compositions from Ferrara by Luzzaschi or his pupil Girolamo Frescobaldi, who, living only 200 meters from the castle, might have played this instrument in his young years. Today only 3 harpsichords by Trentino survive. They are in museums in London, Brussels, and Siena. In addition to those harpsichords, we have a pentagonal spinet also by Trentino, which we're going to hear now. We are here on the first floor, which is called the oratory, which is decorated with frescoes by the Bolognese school. Pupils of the Carracci family, like Guido Reni and Il Domenichino. I'm sitting here in front of the so-called Pentagonal Arpicard, which was attributed to Alessandro Trentino by Denzil Wright. It's made around 1540. As you see, it has one keyboard with 45 keys, first short octave, and the pitch is rather high, and as in those days in Venice, 520 hertz. Vito Trentino, the famous maker, a foster child of Alessandro, maker of the famous clave musicum omnitorum from 1606, a harpsichord with 31 keys per octave, is preserved also in Bologna, in the Museo della Musica. Thank you.
What you can see here is a fine example of a late 17th century Italian harpsichord. It was built in Rome by a Flemish harpsichord builder, Mattia Degan. The instrument is not signed of the nameboard, but there is a handwritten inscription inside the case, on one of the knees supporting the spine. It is written in French and it says, "Ce clavecin est fait par Monsieur Mattia Degan." We know that Mattia Degan, known also as Monsieur Mattia Fiamengo, was born in the Flanders somewhere between 1663 and 1667 and was active in Rome in the last decades of the 17th century and in the beginning of the 18th century. He built this instrument when he was only more or less 20 years old and probably did not have his own workshop. We know for sure that in 1695 he was working in Giuseppe Boni's workshop, so that might be the reason why he could not put his name on the nameboard. He ran his own workshop from 1702 to 1740. In 1708, he was one of the 10 harpsichord builders active in Rome, and with regard to the taxes paid, which were proportional to the income, he was only second to Giuseppe Mondini, meaning he really worked a lot. In those years, for example, he did some works, such as providing harpsichords, tuning them, and doing some maintenance works at the Ruspoli Castle in Vignanello. In the same period, Handel was staying there for a couple of years as a sort of a Kapellmeister. Our harpsichord was probably built for a noble family, maybe on the occasion of a wedding, given that there are two coats of arms painted on the lid. The beautiful paintings of the case are attributed to another Flemish citizen, Jan Frans van Bloemen, a landscape painter born in Antwerp and also active in Rome. There's an interesting story about the attribution of this painting. The painting itself represents a nice marine landscape running all around the instrument, and especially on the spine, there's this interesting image of a sunset and a horizon. And what we know is that Jan Frans van Bloemen had an alias, a nickname, which was l'orizzonte, meaning in Italian a horizon. So even if the painter himself would not sign his painting of the case and of the lid, he would, however, leave us this hint on his authorship. As for the instrument itself, as I said before, it's a fine example of an Italian harpsichord of the times. It is a true inner-outer, a typical Italian feature, meaning the instrument itself can be separated from its outer case. There are two sets of 8-foot strings throughout the compass of 60 notes, starting from F, F, G, G, up to F3. The length of the spine is 245 centimeters. The soundboard is made of fir, and there is no rose on it. Thanks to a recent research on the instrument, we made together with the late Maestro Luigi Ferdinando Tagliavini, just a few years before he died, we were able to make this extraordinary discovery. We knew already that the harpsichord underwent, in the past centuries, some modifications, as was quite normal in the past. For example, when the compasses of the keyboards were broadened to adapt better to the new musical repertoire. In the beginning, we thought this was the case of our Degand harpsichord, as we knew the original compass of the instrument was slightly broadened from 53 to 60 keys. But thanks to some traces, however, and further research, we were able to find out that this harpsichord in its original state could transpose one tone or maybe two semitones, which is rather an incredible feature for an Italian harpsichord. We have decided to make a sort of a copy of this instrument, but in its original state, with a transposition device, and it was realized by our technician and restorer Graziano Bandini. The instrument is almost ready, and we will present it to the public soon. Last but not least, our Degand harpsichord bears a handwritten inscription on the front border of the lid of the case, with the date 1685, the year it was probably built, and also the year in which Johann Sebastian Bach was born.
Thank you.